Hey fam, what's good? What's good? I hope that you're well and keeping safe. So today's opportunity came a little bit early, right? I couldn't find myself making the content a little bit earlier as well as my neighbors was busy with some renovations whatsoever, right? So my apologies if you guys can still find yourself hearing somewhat of noise in the background, right? But now they're working like on the other side, so it's not as hard, right? So check this out, right? Look at this little screenshot, right? I took a screenshot of the before part, right? And we can basically see on our 15-minute time frame, right, that we did find ourselves taking out liquidity right over here, right? We are going to dive into it, into the chart as well. We took out liquidity right over there, right? We did find ourselves, this was more of a aggressive entry, right? We haven't found ourselves having a closure below this down close candle, right? However, we did find ourselves creating a BOB, right over there, this grayed out box right over there, right? Now what does a BOB indicate to us? A BOB basically indicate to us on a lower time frame, right, there is somewhat of a correction happening within this area, basically telling us that we can see a further continuation move back towards the downside, right? And looking from previous PA from this area over here as well, right, we did find ourselves creating an area of supply as well. We had the closure below, we also created a BOB, we came back for the retest, and here we had somewhat of an actual shift back towards the downside. Now many may know that, and if you did not know, now you most probably would know, the 15-minute time frame is more for intraday trading, right? So with my 15-minute time frame indicating that, you know what, there is some shorts that can find itself coming through, I basically found myself taking advantage of it. Now let's tap into the charts. So now looking at my 1 hourly time frame, right, we can basically see everything that I basically just shown you guys is basically this whole region right over here. We can see that we did find ourselves having the closure below our BOB, right? There we came back for the retest, and there we had a beautiful shift back towards the downside as well. Now what we can see is that price did however find itself having a closure below this little correction we have found ourselves having. So we are finding ourselves creating somewhat of an actual market structure shift, right? We are changing market structure from this beautiful bull market back into a bear market, right? And with us changing market structure from bull to bear, we can see that we did find ourselves creating another BOB right over here as well, and we haven't found ourselves coming back for the retest within this area. So you know what, with the New York Stock Exchange, I cannot find myself, you know what, making this trade an actual a zero loss trade, right? Basically put my stops at break even, simply because there is still a high possibility for us coming all the way back up back into this region. Why? Simply because we still do have a magnet above price, right? We still have this whole region serving as an area of supply, right? And ultimately, where do we not want to see price break? This high right over there. We don't want to see price come above that high, so we play it safe by placing our stops above that high right over there, or at this high right over there, right? Beautiful 30 pip stop for a 60 pip gain, right? And if we can scale to our 1 hourly time frame, basically telling us that, hey, we can see that dip find itself coming through, right, is simply the following. Check this out, 1 hourly time frame as well, basically confirmed that beautiful BOB for us, right? Closed below, came back for that retest, and we just had a beautiful shove back towards the downside. So all I'm basically just doing at this current moment is just waiting for the New York Stock Exchange to find itself opening up so that we can potentially see, you know what, a further continuation move back down, which I will favor, right? Or we can just simply see price come all the way back up and then have the actual shift back towards the downside potentially, right? Now on our H1 time frame as well, what we can basically see is like a bigger picture of what we have explained on our 15-minute time frame, right? We can see we had a correction over there as well, and we can currently see that we did find ourselves having a closure below this correction as well. So what did we say? We basically said that we are seeing a market structure shift, so basically turning this bullish market back into a bearish market, right? Basically telling me that we can see some shorts finding itself coming through. Now, since we have identified that we are changing the market structure from bull to bear, right, the next thing we are going to find ourselves looking at is what? Magnets. Right? Magnets. Can we still see somewhat of an actual upside momentum from this area onwards? Yes, D, no, D. Right? 1 hourly time frame is still also suggesting that we can see somewhat of upside momentum, right? And we have basically this whole region over here, which is serving as an actual breaker, right? We also do have this area over here serving as a supply, right? So we do have magnets above price over here as well. We might as well just get out our Fibonacci from the high to where the current low is at this region right over here. So there is a high possibility for us coming all the way back up from this discounted area back into a premium area for a potential shift back towards the downside, right? Because ultimately that is how we are finding ourselves looking at price on a day-to-day basis. All right, so at this current moment, I'm just simply being patient, right? Basically took advantage of the lower time frame magnets, basically telling us what we can potentially expect, right? Now, yes, I did say that I would love to see us basically having somewhat of an actual respect from this region over here. You know what, we're not always gonna find ourselves seeing what we want. We did come back into the area, we had somewhat of a rejection, we had a shift to the upside, and now we are coming all the way back down, right? We do have 51 minutes left for this candle to find itself closing as well. So once again, if we are gonna see the closure below, what is this gonna tell each and every single one of you, right? It is gonna tell you that we are finding ourselves creating then an area of supply, right? Telling us that we are turning this bullish market back into a bearish market. So once all my time frames is basically going to find itself aligning with one another, basically telling me that we are finding ourselves being bearish in market structure, you know what, I will be comfortable with leaving a runner on this trade and see if we can have that actual further continuation move back towards the downside, as ultimately, you know what, from this week onwards I am finding myself preparing for some shorts when it comes down to the NASDAQ, right? Even if we are going to look at our H4 time frame, we can see that we are finding ourselves taking out the previous candle's low as well, right? Even the candle before that one's low as well. So it is showing us that our bears, they are trying to find themselves finding their feet within the market, right? Even if we can go on a higher time frame, what we can see is that we have our BOB, yes, but you know what, our longs, they have been quite dominant within the market. You know what, they are finding themselves taking some profits off the table as well before injecting some more money in to make even more profits, right, with the upside momentum. So with them basically finding themselves taking off some money off the table, right, this is an opportunity for us to basically find ourselves taking advantage of, you know, what we can within the market, right? We are still the small fish in this big ocean, right? So we can find ourselves taking advantage of what we have, right? You don't always need to find yourself having that 1 to 50 ratio, right? 1 to 100 ratio, right? Like those crazy, and you know, being, you have to risk like 10 pips on a, no, you know, you don't need to find yourself doing all of that, right? 30 pips to me, that is like a standard, right? High a higher risk to me will basically be 60 pip, and I will push it for 70 pips, right? But ultimately 30 pips, that is my standard, that is my favorite amount, right? Because ultimately when it comes down to you taking your trade, you know how much you are going to find yourself risking in terms of pips, right? You already know the amount. So when you adjust your actual lot size, right, you know how much you can find yourself, you know, losing or gaining on a trade based off, because you just simply know this is how much I am finding myself risking based off pips, right, relating to your lot size, right? So to me, 30 pips to a 60 pip gain. That is my standard. That is my favorite. So yeah, I just like keeping my ratio just like that. So in the comment section, let me know what is your standard, right? Are you finding yourself risking whatever, or are you also just simply finding yourself being like, I have to risk like 5 pips, I have to risk 10 pups, right? Let me know in the comment section. I am curious to know. And let's wait for the New York Stock Exchange to find itself coming through on this beautiful, beautiful instrument called the NASDAQ, right? Guys, listen. If you like my content, make sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe button. You know what? Everything is for the free ski. And you know what? This is also just me documenting my journey, right? My actual knowledge, my educational background, if I can put it like that, and just put it onto this platform so that I can also find myself sharing it with the next person who maybe feel like, what, they need somewhat of a strategy, they need A, B, C, D, and E, right? So I hope that this content can find itself helping you in some way or another, right? So as if now, I'm gonna be patient. I'm gonna wait for the New York Stock Exchange to find itself coming through. But as if now, let's look at what is happening, right? Let's see what is happening. So I want you guys to know, me, Diego, since I am being like, you know what, I want to see price come all the way back down to my take profit, I am going to be biased, right? I'm going to be biased based on my shorts because I want to see my shorts come through, right? Is what it is. It is what it is. All right. So since we already did find ourselves doing our breakdown, right? Please do go check out our breakdown, which we find ourselves making over the course of yesterday, right? So I can just simply hit all the way back down to my 15-minute time frame and just simply look at what is up over here, right? So if you want to see the full breakdown, make sure to go check out our breakdown we have found ourselves making over the course of yesterday. All right, so first of all, what are we gonna do? We are gonna try and find the midnight candle, right? So let's go and find the midnight candle. Boom. Right over here is our midnight candle. And then what we are gonna find ourselves doing is identify the what? The daily high and the daily low. So clean stuff. We can easily identify a daily high right there. Boom. Okay. Daily high. Boom. Our daily low, where is it coming through? Right over here. Right over here. Since we are simply still, you know what, that's my speaker going off. Right, so as we are finding ourselves having our shift back towards the downside, you know what, we are still in the workings of, creating our daily low. However, we can basically see that we had somewhat of an actual correction over here. So we are also finding ourselves taking out somewhat of sell side liquidity coming through over here. So there is a high possibility for us basically having somewhat of an actual rejection to the upside before having somewhat of an actual shift back towards the downside, right? We can also see that we are having somewhat of an actual BOB coming through over here as well. So there is a possibility for us having that shift towards the upside before seeing that actual downside momentum coming through on the NASDAQ, right? And we already find ourselves identifying all potential magnets above price. And if we can have our Fibonacci out from our high, yes, we don't have the necessary rejection from this area onwards, right? But we can basically see that our entry basically is lining up within an actual premium area. We did say that we are having somewhat of magnets within this premium area as well, right? So we don't need to find ourselves stressing because ultimately our trading methodology, right, our trading system whatsoever is basically this, right? It's literally this. We want to see price come from a discounted area to a premium area and then a potential rejection from that area onwards. That's it. From a premium area back into a discounted area. That's it. Right? And this is the range between our daily high and our daily lows. Right? That is our system. We don't necessarily have to find ourselves coming all the way back up into this premium area to have a rejection. Price can just easily find itself coming all the way back up over here, come back into this little fee value gap we find ourselves creating, tap into it, and then have a further continuation move back towards the downside. Do we need to find ourselves participating in that? No, not necessarily, right? We don't have to find ourselves participating with each and every single move telling us that, you know what, that is our actual pattern finding itself coming through, right? We want to have a high quality setup, right? We want to see price come all the way back up into a premium area to be sure that, you know what, we can find ourselves taking advantage of those beautiful shorts that is, you know what, or that can potentially find itself coming through, right? So that is basically my analysis. So I am quite confident. You know what, I'm not too stressed about this area over here. So I am quite confident that we can still see that actual shift back towards the downside based off my 15-minute time frame changing market structure from a bull market back to a bear market. 2-minute time, well, 1 hourly time frame also confirmed that to us, as well as our actual intraday time frame, right? Changing market structure from bull to bear, right? So if we can see our H4 time frame confirming that as well, you know what, I will be completely confident with our actual shows coming through. But as if now, you know what, we do not see that as if now. So you know what, we just gonna have to wait and see if price can present that to us. All right, so I'm gonna see you guys in the next few minutes, right? To the New York Stock Exchange find itself coming through, and let's see what price have installed for us. Look at that rejection from this beautiful BOB, right? Clean, clean, clean. Literally just tap into it, had that beautiful shift back towards the upside. Some people just simply trade based off BOBs, but you know what, it does not always just work on its own. You have to have some other confluences telling you that, you know, you can find yourself going long from this area or not. All right, but nonetheless, let's wait. All right, y'all. So this must be the worst feeling for a trader, right? This feeling right over here. But as of now, it's not as bad as, you know, how it was in the beginning stage. But you know what, you are still gonna find yourself feeling some type of way. Someone who is saying that you won't feel it, nah, that's a liar, right? That is a liar. But nonetheless, we took the L, right? We are going to find ourselves being quite patient and wait for the next setup to find itself opening up. If you have found yourself enjoying this content, make sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe button, right? Until the next one, it's me, your boy D. I'm going to see y'all in the next one. I'm out.